lot of you out there have asked me for more vegetarian recipes, so I have a perfect midweek vegetarian stir fry for you. This is one that I make at least once a week using gorgeous mushrooms. I love mushrooms. It's the meat of the vegetarian world, and I'm going to serve this with a sticky black vinegar sauce. Now, when you stir fry, you want a nice large multi-pan just like this one, so you can toss everything together. And I like to preheat my pan. Now, this is a great pan because it's got a thermo signal. So as soon as it's solid red, you know it's at the right temperature for searing. You don't want your pan to be at a medium heat. You want it to be searing hot so the mushrooms cook nice and evenly. While the pan is heating up, let's prepare our mushies. I've got an array of gorgeous mushrooms here. So some oyster mushrooms. You can see these gorgeous gills. I just love them. They're so pretty. You don't need to do much to them. Just tear them. Very easy to do. Our classic mushrooms, little button mushrooms, you can see that they're nice and fresh because they're quite firm, not spongy, and they're nice and clean. Don't wash your mushrooms, just simply use a pastry brush and brush off any excess dirt, and you don't need to peel them either. So we'll cut them in half. They do retain quite a lot of water, so they will shrink, so don't cut them too small for this recipe. And shiitake mushroom, fresh shiitakes, we'll cut them in half too. They've got quite a strong flavour. You can cut the little stem out of the shiitake because that's not as palatable. And in half. And then if you haven't worked with these mushrooms, give them a go. You can find them now at your greengrocer. Also, I've seen them at the supermarkets. These are called shimeji. You can see they're a cluster of little mushrooms together. You don't need to cut these. You just pull the little clusters apart and just leave them in small piles. After they start frying, you'll see that they start to separate quite nicely. Okay, a few large meaty mushrooms. So these Swiss brown, we'll cut them into quarters, and I think that will do us. So once your pan is nice and hot, I can see it's hot because that thermo signal is solid red, we'll add some vegetable oil. We want about a tablespoon to start with. You can see it's smoking, so that's very hot. We'll add our mushrooms. Quick toss just to coat them in the oil. And because they are like sponges, they will absorb. So we'll add just a touch more. Oh, I love the smell of mushrooms. And that won't take long at all. You can see they're already starting to get that lovely colour. You don't want to overcook it because I want them to still have their integrity and slight crunch in the centre. So leave them to cook for just a few minutes while we prepare our garlic. So 2 cloves of garlic, I'll finely slice. Nice and fine. And usually with a stir fry, you start with your garlic, your ginger and the chilli, but I like to add it second so it doesn't burn, because nothing worse than burnt garlic and ginger. It really ruins the dish, so we'll keep that for the next stage. A good knob of ginger, and you can grate it or just cut it quite finely. It's plenty. And we'll stack up the ginger and then cut it into fine julienne. Mushrooms love all of these big, bold flavours, real Asian style flavours of the ginger, the chilli, spring onions that we're going to be adding to. Okay, let's give the mushrooms a toss. Ooh, it's looking good. And for some heat, if you're making these for the kiddies, you can leave the chilli out. A long red chilli. There's not too much heat in a long red chilli. As soon as you start hitting the seeds, that's where it gets slightly warmer. I'm going to add about 3/4 of this chilli, finely slicing it on an angle. Great. These mushrooms are looking good. Okay, they're almost ready. So a pinch of salt. I like to season the mushrooms after they've been seared. And now that they have that nice sheen on them, we'll remove them. Okay, another splash of oil. Okay, about a tablespoon. And then in with our garlic, ginger and chilli. Okay, Now for the sauce. So sauce, really simple ingredients, black vinegar. You can find black vinegar from all good Asian grocers. I can even see it in the supermarket now. It has a wonderful smoky, woody flavour to it. It's actually a rice vinegar that's been aged. A fantastic ingredient to have in your pantry. Also, some rice wine vinegar and some soy. You can use regular soy, but I want a slight sweetness, so I'm going to be using some sweet soy for this, about a tablespoon. Great. In this bowl, I have some corn flour. Now, I want some corn flour to thicken the sauce, so I'll add about 2 tablespoons of water, and I'll give that a quick mix. And we'll bring that to the front here. And mushrooms can go back into the pan. And our sauce can go in. So we'll add the black vinegar component first. I like lots of sauce for this because it is so delicious. And just to thicken it up, some of our corn flour and water mixture, we'll drizzle that in. You do want to add your corn flour mixture as it's bubbling away, so we prevent those lumps. And finally, just to freshen the whole thing up, spring onions. I'm going to cut them into battens, the white and light part. So I still want a crunch, so I don't want to add them at the beginning. And I found these gorgeous sugar snap peas this morning at my greengrocer, so I'm going to add them too. But you can use any vegetable depending on what you like. Okay, one last toss, coating the sugar snap peas in that sauce. Oh, it smells good. Okay, heat off and let's plate up. I'm using some brown rice. I love the nuttiness of brown rice, so that's why I'm using that. We'll add a few spoonfuls into our bowl. And our gorgeous stir fry. We'll just pop that on the top. I love how these mushrooms are glistening in that sauce. A few more on top. And this pan has a lip, so it makes it nice and easy to pour, no mess. That's a fantastic vegetarian dish, but honestly, if you're not vegetarian, you're still going to love this. It's interesting, it's bold with all those mushrooms, black vinegar. That's a winner right there.